I hear a lot of students complain that they get distracted when they sit for studies. They feel like using social media or watching a television at home. Some students complain that they don't feel motivated to study. They feel like sleeping when they sit for studies. The common issue among a lot of other students are they can't remember the facts and figures. Suppose you're studying for mathematics, you can't remember the formula. If you're studying business studies, then you don't remember the section names or the case studies. Yet another issue is that students don't know how to manage the time. So these are some of the common problems that students face when they are preparing for CA Foundation examination. Hi, I'm Subhadra Aithal, your guide for CA Foundation, Paper 3, Business Mathematics, Logical Reasoning, Statistics. In today's session, I will be giving you an introduction regarding how you have to prepare for your examination. What are the tips and tricks that you have to keep in mind while preparing for June 2022 examination? The common solution to all the problems that I discussed just now is that you have to focus on one thing at a time. Remember, our mind is a monkey. It keeps jumping from one thought to another. You might be studying, opening your book, but then your mind will be wandering. You might start thinking about some past event, or you might start imagining something that is going to happen in the future. It can so happen that you're studying and you'll be thinking, why did my girlfriend break up with me? Or you might be thinking, which movie is going to get released on this Friday? So you have to be very mindful and be aware of what you are thinking when you sit for studies. Take control of your mind. This is the first and foremost step for all the students preparing for examination. Point number 2, have an aim. Your aim should be to score minimum 60 marks in every paper and not just 40. Now, in order to score this 60 marks, you should know how to manage your time properly. So, allocation of time for important events is necessary. Please understand where you're spending your time. It can so happen that you sit for studies, but you get an important call, which you feel as important, but they might not be so urgent. You attend them and you're distracted from your studies. So whatever is not important, something that you can delay to a future time, set proper 3 hours time. And during that time, you shouldn't think about anything else apart from concentrating on your studies. Specifically discussing about paper number 3, you have 2 hours to attempt 400 marks. How to effectively utilize these 2 hours in the examination hall? Point number 1, don't spend more time initially on a particular question. Usually in chapters like equations or calculus, we have questions that take a lot of time, say 5 to 10 minutes to solve one question. Remember that for every question, you should not spend more than 1.5 minutes. So initially, you have to solve all those questions which you can attempt quickly. All the lengthy questions, keep that in the end. This is point number 1. Point number 2, skim through the paper quickly. Crack the ones that you are familiar. Usually, students in their second PUC or 12th standard are very familiar with the concepts of statistics. So if you are confident in statistics, crack statistics questions first. Or most of you might feel logical reasoning part is very easy. So you can quickly glance through the entire paper in starting 10-15 minutes. Mark all those questions, all the answers that you can quickly answer them in the first glance itself. Point number 3, mark those answers on the OMR sheet immediately, because a lot of times students just mark A, B, C, D tick in their question paper and forget to allocate the correct option on the OMR. And they think that, okay, let me solve them in the end, but in the end you run short of time. What should be your mindset in the examination hall? Point number one, please don't judge the difficulty level of the paper just by looking at first question. It can so happen that starting 5, 6 questions might be little difficult and rest of the paper is quite easy. So you see the first paper and you start sweating in the examination hall? No. Point number two, you have to attempt for maximum, not necessarily the 100%. Remember, this is 2 hours paper. That means if you try to attempt entire 100 marks or entire 100 questions, there is a possibility that you might give a wrong answer due to which you will have to face the negative marking. Instead, you attempt for the maximum that you're confident about. Point number three, don't panic, get overstressed or demotivated in the examination hall. I have seen students who, for starting 60, 70 questions, they feel like the paper is very tough. But ending 40 questions or 30 questions that they attempt, those will be very easy. So don't panic in the examination hall. It might so happen that students go blank in the examination hall, they forget the important formula. Point number four, you need to attempt smartly. So in the 2 hours, divide the hours. First hour, you have to confidently score 50 marks. And for next 1 hour, you can attempt for those questions which are lengthy or those questions which are little tricky where you have to apply your mind. On your screen, you can see ICAI guidelines for CA Foundation examination. Let me highlight what are the don'ts for your examination. Point number one, you cannot use any other pen apart from black point pen. That means highlighter or black sketch pen are not allowed in the examination. Next, please do not record mobile phone or any other printed module for the examination. Last thing, don't exchange pen calculator in the examination hall. You can carry 2 calculators, you can keep 10, 20 pens, as many as is necessary for you, but do not discuss anything with fellow candidates during examination hall. Next, do not smoke, do not chew tobacco during the examination time. What you have to keep in mind, I already told you, you can take a calculator, which is a normal calculator having 12 digits. It should be noiseless. Point number two, you can only use black point pen for your exam. 2 weeks ago, ICAI conducted exam preparation webinar for the benefit of all the students appearing in June 2022 examination. I am summarizing what are the important points that was discussed in that 2 hours long webinar. Point number one, be careful in initial 15 minutes of getting the question paper. So 15 minutes reading time is provided, especially for paper 1 and paper 2. Now in that 15 minutes, you have to decide which question you have to attempt first, which question you have to attempt in the last. Now start with those questions which you are absolutely sure of, but be very careful regarding time management. ICAI evaluators have told that how a student answers first question, based on that they'll know whether the student is able to score 40 plus or not. Some students over stress, give over information for the first question that they attempt. So it might happen that for first question, if you're expected to give answers in 2 pages, you might give 4 to 5 pages answer. So as soon as the evaluator looks at the first question, they get to know that you're not able to complete full examination. Next, initial 2-3 questions should be answered correctly, and these answers will give an idea whether the student has consumed a lot of time or whether he has attended properly or not. Now read the question correctly. This was the point that they stressed on most. Most of the students don't interpret the questions correctly. If the question asks why, most students are giving the answer for when and how. Next, students usually quote a wrong question number. Ma'am, but will this matter in the examination? In paper 1 and paper 2 of CA Foundation, suppose you are giving an answer for third question. A, B, C, D. Four sub questions are there, but you have written instead of question 3, you have given the heading as question 4. 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D. Even though your entire answer is correct, let's say you're able to score 16 out of 16, because the question number mentioned is wrong, they have deducted entire marks and given allotted the student 0. So please be very careful about the question number that you are quoting in examination. People who score well are the students who practice well. And we see this in practical papers where students work out in calculator but believe that evaluator will allocate the marks, which can't happen due to stepwise marking. Especially in a paper like accountancy, you take the calculator, you do all the calculations in the calculator by using short tricks. You don't write in stepwise manner and you expect the examiner to allocate you full 4 out of 4 or 6 out of 6. What happens in CA Foundation? Your ultimate number, say balance sheet total, will not matter. What matters is the working notes or detailed steps that you are giving for the paper. And quoting wrong section numbers will definitely you will lose the marks in law paper. So it is okay if you do not quote the correct section number, but don't quote the wrong one. So even if you don't know the section number, you can write like as per the relevant provisions of the law, and you will be allocated marks. So these are some of the basic tips for attempting CA Foundation examination. I will be starting the revision session for all CA Foundation Maths, Statistics, Logical Reasoning paper in upcoming sessions. Happy learning. Take care.